Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our finale coverage of The Last of Us Season 2 by Story Archives. I'm your host, Mario Busto, alongside...
The other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back.
We're back. We're both sick.
Mm-hmm.
I am no longer as sick, but now Zach is more sick.
Yeah.
And we're in sync on both of our sicknesses because although he lives... How many miles do you live away, like, at this point?
400. Is it?
You live
Is it
around
that much?
400 miles away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you live across the state, so...
Yeah.
But we're in sync. I got sick last week. That's why we didn't do. I mean, I was really bad though for like a solid day or two, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know
The
what? Let's
weekend
just
wasn't fun.
yeah. So yeah, we're back. We're gonna do a episode 6 and 7 coverage to kind of wrap up season 2. Take out all the talking points, take out all the frustrations, take out all the things we loved,
Mm.
things we didn't care for much, and everything in between as we wrap up our Last of Us coverage. Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have liked our content so far. We should have a pretty packed summer coming. We got some shows
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out, and I got to sit down and just kind of look over the whole show strategy and see what shows we're going to cover. But I know we got some. I know we got some hot ones coming out over the summer. Foundation season 3.
Yeah, it was coming out in like 2 weeks.
We have The Bear season 4. We have um, the Game of Thrones show, right? The Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I
Oh,
think that's
yeah.
coming out pretty soon. I think it's coming out really soon, actually.
I think so too.
So, yeah. So stay tuned for all those things on Story Archives. All right. What were the episode titles for 6 and 7?
Well,
6.
The Price was episode
6 was
6.
that's Price, and then
Yeah.
7 was what?
Convergence.
Convergence is the name of it.
Yep. Convergence is the name of it.
I guess Convergence is like Ellie and Abby's storylines converging, right?
Yeah.
Because it was announced that there is going to be a season that they're
3.
going to. Craig Mazin said he needs 2 more seasons to
See,
tell this story properly.
you were crapping on me when I brought this up in one of our previous episodes. I said I think they could take this to a 4th season.
I
But
was just saying I didn't want it, is what I was saying.
yeah, no, I mean
Um,
I want this. I want it to be done because I want that like complete piece of art. Or like that's what I want. Selfishly. But if season 3 is going to be anything like this season was, like we're going to end, I imagine, close to the same spot. We're going to kind of see that whole storytelling of Abby's side of things.
that's
Eh,
going to really frustrate people. That
Yeah.
is going to really frustrate people. If I mean, I could be wrong. Let me know, viewers, how you're going to feel about it. I just would love to know en masse what the reaction's going to be.
Mm,
If anybody's ever seen that movie Vantage Point, um,
mhm.
with Dennis Quaid way back in the day. I think I've told this story on Story Archives before. The premise is okay. There's an assassination that's happening. All right. Everyone's
Yeah.
trying to figure out, I think, or they're trying to stop the assassin. All right. Or whatever it is. But you're essentially, the whole movie is rewinding the story like 7 times to
Oh,
see the
it's so
vantage
annoying.
point of like 7 different people. By the time we got to vantage point like 3, the whole theater was groaning in pain. Like the whole theater was like, oh, come on. All right. So if we go a whole 7 episode season again, which I'm assuming is probably what they would do for season
Probably.
3, just to end in the theater with Abby and Ellie again,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gonna piss off a lot of people. Personally,
I mean, it would be very frustrating, especially when you think about the fact that the only dates I've seen is like this is going into production next year, which means we may not see the next season until 2027. That's a long time to wait for just another half of the story. So I don't
that's a
know,
that's a crazy timeline to push this to 2027
isn't
if
it?
that's the case. Because I also heard the same thing that they weren't gonna start filming until 26.
Yeah,
Dude, we're in May. Um,
yeah.
I don't know if people are gonna even be that like,
Interested.
yeah, because it's gonna be Abby's perspective now. We
Yeah.
end the season. You can kind of get the gist. It's gonna be Abby's perspective when she wakes up on the couch. That
Mm.
essentially is day 1 Seattle
Mm-hmm.
all over again, but Abby's perspective of it.
Yeah.
So this story is told. This is a joint story. That's what the viewer's gonna find out. This is a joint story. This is going to be um, Both their stories are going to be told in unison. I don't even know what they're going to do with the season 4, personally. I don't. Maybe I'm fuzzy on the game, but I don't know what they're going to do for season 4. Maybe
I feel
maybe
like
it's
we're
going to be
fuzzy on
one
the
of
game.
these like, and maybe it's going to be like season 3 part 1 and part 2, and they're going to film it all at once and then release it in 27.
See,
I don't know.
that's what I would much prefer, right? Like
27
if
is
we're
still a
gonna
long
do
time.
the same thing that we did with Ellie, but with Abby, and we're gonna kind of end right at around the same place, maybe with a different cliffhanger that's not just like, oh no. Uh, I at least would hope that the next part of that season, or whatever's gonna come out shortly after, like if we had to wait another 2 years after the next season with a very similar cliffhanger, I think that would do it for me. That would piss me off so much. That's 4 years from now, dude.
Yeah. Aside from that, I mean, episode 6 and 7 were very good.
They
I
were.
don't know if it's having the intended effect on the audience as it's supposed to in terms of how we're supposed to feel about these characters.
Mm,
I don't know about you, but I mean, after episode 6 and 7, and maybe it is the intended effect, I'm looking forward to the Abby perspective because I'm not liking Ellie very much. Um, that episode 6 with Joel's whole backstory of,
mm-hmm.
which by the way, they did a really great job. I'll finish that point after, but just this whole Ellie's like the loose cannon, man. She is pissed at Joel for things that Joel at times can't control or that
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of in the wrong for doing. She's railing against Jesse. I mean, that probably was my biggest pet peeve of episode 7 was
Yeah.
just the fact that this guy went out of his way with Tommy to save Dina and Ellie. Ellie is like almost seemingly forgotten that the way he showed up. How did he save them? He saved them in that warehouse where Dina's locked in the cage and Ellie had 7 stalkers or whatever we're calling the
Yeah.
smart clickers on top of her. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's almost no shred of gratefulness at all. And then Jesse's reward is a bullet to the face, which
Yeah.
if you played the video game, you knew that was coming. But nonetheless, it doesn't make you like Ellie very much. And it was honestly the first time that I was kind of not impressed by Bella Ramsey in episode 7. It was
Mm.
specifically the scene when she's walking with Jesse down the street and he is essentially he's figured out that Dina's pregnant
Yeah.
and he's pretty much Ellie's gaslighting him the entire time about her not being pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But her acting was just very much it didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel like it added up with the Ellie that we just saw in the room that Dina was in where her shirt's off and she's bruised up on her back
Mm-hmm.
and she's talking and she literally has tears in her eyes and there's like this sense that humanity has been lost in her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she not only beat Nora to a pulp, but she let her live so that she could
Turn.
essentially never die. It's like the worst kind of revenge you could give to somebody. Let them turn and be a freaking clicker.
Yeah.
Um, and then she's bounced back to kind of like kid, no common sense Ellie walking with Jesse, right? Where she's just
Mm-hmm.
there's no sense that her whole back is bruised up to hell, right? Like that she's in
Yeah.
pain or wincing at all. And yeah, it was just a little bit too.
All over the place.
Yeah, we're in a city of freaking crazy, bald, borderline cannibal people ripping people's intestines out with like scythes, right? And then,
Mm.
a militaristic wolves or WLF, whatever they call them, doing this, and at least just cracking jokes all the time. Like, there's just no
Yeah.
sense of like the consequences. And I know that in the game she's very much a joker, and that it's a video
Oh
game
yeah.
type of thing, but the show has kind of taken an intentional approach to serious it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just didn't feel like there was a weightiness enough to the mission that they were both going to possibly go die on to go find Tommy.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I also wasn't like a big fan of like the I don't know. There's this one thing that Bella Ramsey does when she's like talking in a very low voice, and it's just like she kind of whispers, but she doesn't like move her mouth or move her lips, and it for whatever reason it takes me out of the moment. Like I can't stand that. Like I feel like she's not engaged enough in the scene or something. But yeah, I mean,
I
what I
haven't.
remember from the game was just her being a joke cracker like the entire time. It was like to the point where I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's a bit much,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I wonder if I haven't really noticed that low voice thing. I do wonder if that has to do with keeping her accent intact because she is British.
Maybe
So
that
I
thought crossed my
wonder
mind.
I wonder if it has something to do with that. I don't know. But other than that, I haven't had any complaints about her in the season. It was just like maybe it was the writing. Like that's also what she's working with. It's not like she's the one
Mhm.
coming up with the lines, you know?
It's true.
It,
Like she could have
so
just done
I don't
an incredible job at playing a very terrible part of time in this character's life. Like I guess that's an angle you could look at it as well.
Yeah, you can't please anybody because at the same place I'm saying like I would like it more grounded. If she
Mm,
plays it more serious, then you have the video game fans saying this is not like video game Ellie at all, and she's not,
yeah.
So I guess you can't. You got to choose one.
I literally
So
saw a post earlier today. It was so similar to that. It was somebody like pulling a screenshot from the game. It was like, oh, this was the game, and it was like, this is how clean the scene looks, or
yeah,
Bella looked in this. Like I'm like, dude, come on. Like I don't want to be that person. Like I want to be the person to like reminisce and be like, oh, I like this reminds me of the game. I love the game. It kind of brings back the elements of nostalgia. But I don't want to be the kind of person that's like, okay, scene for scene, shot for shot. I'm looking at the
oh
game
god,
saying,
no,
okay, you effed this up here. This is different. Like it's gonna be
yeah,
different. It's not a game.
that's
It's a TV show.
yeah, it that is annoying after a while because honestly the show is
Hmm.
has been incredible. I was
It's been
actually a
very
little
good.
surprised because the numbers were down in their finale. Supposedly it was down like a solid percentage. I don't know why, but
Really.
um, part of me was wondering why are they featuring Pedro Pascal so much in the marketing still, considering he dies in episode 2. But seeing episode 6,
Hmm.
it makes all the sense in the world. And we may get more Joel over time. I don't know how much we'll get, but I really enjoyed the backstory they included. That's not part of the video game. It's something they added in, which is the scene with Joel and his father, played by
Yeah.
Tony Dalton. Shout out Better Call Saul, Lalo, freaking psycho Lalo. And at first he was like giving me Lalo vibes completely,
Mm.
um, but then you get a little bit of something that I think the Last of Us creators, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, do a good job of, which is it's not this black and white storytelling.
Mm-mm.
Even if Joel has like we get the backstory of Tommy who is buying drugs at a very young age. How old is Tommy here? Is he like 7 years old buying weed? Like what the
Yeah, he's
hell?
pretty young.
Yeah, he's mad young. He's definitely on the advanced AP pothead course. He's on the right path. Tommy,
On
seven
the
years old,
righteous
buying
path.
weed.
Yeah.
Amazing. Nah, he's probably like 12 or something, which doesn't make it much better.
Yeah.
Uh, but this kind of like the sense that you think his dad's gonna be this super abusive guy with no reason or anything like that, and then you
Hmm.
get his backstory, which is if you think what I do to you is a beating, like my dad, used to whoop my ass, like he just kind of
Hmm.
goes into it, and then he hits him with that tear jerking line of after pouring him a beer or
Yeah.
getting a beer, says that I hope you do a little better than I did,
Yeah.
which is just the whole theme of the episode that Joel does not come from a perfect upbringing. He's doing the best he can
Hmm.
with the way he was equipped to handle fatherhood, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the museum scene was pitch perfect, fantastic,
Hmm.
10 out of 10. I mean, just chef's kiss. Kudos to everybody involved who
Yeah.
made that happen because that was incredible.
I
Um,
I thoroughly enjoyed that scene. The whole season 6, like, that was so much better than what I remember in the game. Like, I was not a fan of that part of the game, just because, like, I don't like that whole random, like, pivot to the self-exploration and whatnot, but it was really great. And I loved how that came together at the end with, like, them in that, like, cockpit thing. That was
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it was awesome, awesome. But overall, the episode leaves you with this sense of like Ellie's having her teenage rebellious
Yeah.
self, I hate my parents type of vibe, listening
Hmm.
to Kurt Cobain and Nirvana and seeing the grunge posters on her wall and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
you leave that episode just not like not standing Ellie. Like it's completely Joel's perspective on that episode, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of pushes forward to the fact that Ellie's gonna take some ownership of Dina's baby in some way. Now I guess she's gonna take exclusive ownership of the dad role. You know, even though the way Ellie makes you feel is you kind of wish she took that bullet in episode 7 and not Jesse. Um, honestly, man, like there was a point where he's standing with her in that parking garage, and I was like, why
Yeah.
don't you just grab her by her little legs and just throw her off the building? She wants to get off her high horse at some point here. But speaking of that, we haven't seen Shimmer in days, but apparently he's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that horse is eating, like some magic mushrooms or something.
Eating
He's
clickers.
riding away on a cloud over there to camp, I guess.
Are infected animals possible in Last of Us? Remember, like clicker?
I think
Wasn't there like a
so.
clicker deer?
Or a bear or something. I
I
feel
don't
like I
remember.
remember something like that. It seems crazy that an animal could not become infected.
Well, the whole premise of like the whole premiere season one was that these cordyceps could already like take over the bodies of certain things, but that
Mm-hmm.
humans were immune to this. He says, but maybe eventually there will be a mutation that they can
Mm-hmm.
infect humans. And if they could infect humans, how can they not infect animals?
Yeah. I'm surprised they're not like hordes of infected animals, honestly.
That would be
That would be
crazy.
terrifying.
Imagine
Can you imagine like a
just
horde
like
of like
500,
infected bears
500
or
clicker dogs.
panthers? Yeah, or something like that.
Oh,
That'd be
that'd
nuts.
be nuts. Yeah, it'd be crazy. Um, let's talk about the whole Ellie Joel dynamic.
Hmm.
Ellie always has this sense of outrage of like the moral high ground of everything, but I feel like it's because she's never been in a position to actually make a difficult decision,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So every time she makes a difficult decision, she's bailed out by somebody else, right?
Yeah, literally.
She's got the plot armor of I don't even know. And so this whole thing, my number one pet peeve with the whole, and this was the same thing in the video game, all right?
Yeah.
They make that hospital scene seem like it was just a black and white choice that Joel said no to the cure all drug. Like the cure all drug
Yeah.
was they had the recipe, all they were missing was like a cup of onions, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
they knew for a fact if they just could get that cup of onions, they'd have the whole cure all recipe. But no, they gloss over the fact that they sort of lied to Joel. They didn't really tell him what was up.
Nope.
They went behind his back, okay? The doctor, who they make out to be innocent, was holding a scalpel, like standing by Ellie's body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there has to be some sort of Joel didn't just slaughter a whole hospital.
Yeah, he didn't
No,
just snap.
yeah, which I that's why I hated. That was the thing I hated about the season one was the way they did that, the music montage thing, as if it
Mm-hmm.
was like a PTSD trigger for Joel to just go massacre a hospital.
Yeah.
Um, so I wish they would make it sound like, hey, yeah, Joel didn't do a great thing, but what kind of options was he had? He didn't really have much of a choice. They didn't give Ellie a choice. They made a decision for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not right either. And I think that they just that constant giving Joel crap for that. Even the decision that he makes in the episode to shoot the psychiatrist's husband.
Yeah.
Ellie's like, Joel shot him in cold blood, shot him in the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was he?
And that's what
Like
she was
the
super
guy
pissed off
wasn't
about.
infected.
I mean that was the thing that did it in. I was not expecting her to just bluntly come out and say it like that. I was like, damn. Like if you
Let me
ever knew
keep
when to shut up.
Yeah, let me keep going on Ellie here. Ellie wants to save the scar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's 6-on-2.
Yeah.
She's just had about 20 minutes prior, she had just had a conversation with Dina about how essentially she was explaining to Dina how Abby's in the right, that Joel massacred a hospital and he killed her father. And then immediately she's off with Jesse. She gets a radio notice that Abby's at the aquarium and she forgets the entire conversation she had with Dina.
Mm-hmm.
Did I imagine that, or did she not agree to go home and that Abby essentially was kind of justified for killing Joel?
Yeah, that's I mean essentially what I remember. There was the whole conversation about going back. Yeah. Ellie's an opportunist. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. Like she saw like, oh, well, that's where she is. So mission's back on. But yeah, they were all supposed to go home, go get Tommy, go home. Didn't happen. Clearly,
Yeah. Anything else to add on Ellie and the Abby revenge saga?
the Ellie and Abby revenge. I wish Abby was more menacing than she was, man. Honestly, like Abby in the game. This is one area where I will point to the game and say like, look, I think the game did a really good job of making this really unknown character. I mean, like you come to know her through the game. Very intimidating, and I just don't get that from this Abby. Like seeing her single handedly take on four people at the theater. No, I just don't
She
buy
seems
it.
like a sure shot. I don't mind her. So far she's been okay to me. I know she's not technically jacked like Abby
Yeah,
in the game, but then again, Bella doesn't look anything like Ellie, and I don't mind it. I just as long as they're kind of nailing the character right, I'm
hmm
okay with it, man. I'll be honest with you. People get so caught up in, I'm not saying you are. Um, I get your point, but people get so caught up in, oh, this character doesn't look exactly like the source material or exactly like he's
hmm
described in the book and exactly like it did in the 1990s or whenever.
yeah,
It's just like I don't care as long as it's kind of staying consistent and it's not changing something core to the story. One could argue that Abby's physical characteristics, her arms being freaking jacked, were a core characteristic of Abby.
yeah. And that's where my head's at with this, right? Like it's I actually kind of think she looks somewhat similar to her. It's just like this girl's never gone to a gym, is what it feels like. The physique of Abby in the game is insane. Like it feels like that boss battle that you don't want to go up against. But right now they just feel so equal.
Well,
They
what's
feel very
funny
equal
is
to each other
that,
in the show.
and we've mentioned this before, the actress playing Abby looks like Ellie, more like Ellie than Bella.
Yeah, I've thought
So
that too. Yeah.
that is pretty funny. Um, let's talk. Let's keep on moving here. So we talked about the museum. We talked about hateable Ellie. We talked about the shadiness of the hospital operation that Joel doesn't deserve all that this sort of mistreatment. And I'm not gonna lie, I was tearing up at the end when Joel's on the little porch of his house and he goes, "I hope you do a little better than I did, kid."
Yeah,
You know,
that one tugged on the heartstrings there.
and I think Ellie's gonna take that to her own parenting. Um, I don't want to be guy who's railing against the episode, but before I talk about all the positives, I also, and I mentioned this in the episode 4 coverage. I said I hope that I think I said this. Maybe I'm imagining it, but in my head maybe I said I hope they don't just teleport Ellie out of this basement and not show us how she gets back to the theater. But
Mm.
sure enough, she just appears back at the theater. She didn't have to go up the levels where there was like 100 soldiers waiting for her. Nothing. They just easy way out. Ellie teleported out after beating the living daylights out of Nora, and then magically makes it back home.
Yeah,
That
that's
pissed me off.
surprising. I mean, let's not forget about the fact that she had to go down to an infected floor, and literally the entire facility was surrounded, and they knew she was there. Like they had a mission to kill her. Nothing. It
I feel
wasn't
like we
even a
were robbed
thought.
of a really, yeah, I think we were like, I felt like we were robbed of a really good action sequence there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of get it why they didn't do it because does it add anything to the story? No, it's an A to B, right? Like getting
hmm
from point A to point B. Doesn't add anything, doesn't progress the story forward at all. It would have been a great action sequence of her getting out of the hospital, sneaking around, avoiding the soldiers,
hmm
avoiding the scars through that forest to get back to the theater, all that stuff that she would have had to done to get back home. And it would have probably added a couple $1 million to the budget in order to do it or something like that.
Probably.
Same with Jesse. Jesse in the game does not arrive on the scene the way he does in the show. But
Mm-mm.
the way he arrives would have required an action sequence with Ellie that would have cost, I'm assuming, an episode's worth of a budget just to do the scene that I am talking about and how Jesse pulls up. Uh, the way they've substituted that, though, I'm kind of okay with. And by the way, perhaps my favorite casting on the entire show, well, maybe my favorite too, um, is Jesse.
Mm.
I mean, I thought, what's his name? Young Mazzino? Is his name Young Mazzino? He has a cool name.
We'll check.
Young
I do
Mazzino.
like Jesse.
Um, I thought he was he was terrific. R.I.P. Jesse, best character on the show, most moral character on the show. Definitely deserved more than he got. Zach actually has the scene that I was referring to earlier with Bella and Jesse walking down the alleyway that I was not a huge fan of. I thought it was not the best representation of the two.
I agree.
But nonetheless, Jesse has a good send off. I think it really pains the fans because the fans they got to know him enough to know that this guy was like a truly good dude. Like he put other people first. He would, was always going to the rescue. He even after Ellie was going off on her own once again, selfishly to go try to kill Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Shows up again with Tommy after Ellie's just murdered a pregnant woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the way, I do wonder what that effect is going to have on her. Is she going to be cracking jokes after that one too?
I don't know. She really brushes off these very intense moments pretty quick. She's
Imagine
like,
killing him.
I've just destroyed my life.
And then the next second,
Next
she's
episode,
like,
she's like, what's up, dude?
I left my protractor at home. Like, oh, shit. I just killed a pregnant woman. Oh, damn.
Whoops. Somebody got aborted. I don't know. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Ooh. This is Jesse's fault. This is the man's fault.
Man, she kept ragging on Jesse this entire episode about him being a good guy. Oh, because you're a good guy.
I'm an asshole, right, Jesse? Yeah. Everyone else is it. My goodness gracious, can this girl not be likable for 2 seconds? It was just
she is a tough character to like. Like I think we like her because of how much we've grown with her character over season 1, and I'd say earlier on in this season. But man, it's tough. She's tough to get along with.
I think I can borderline say at this point I don't like her. I can just straight up say I don't.
So that's the interesting thing about this show or about the game, right? Like you've got these two characters that
Team Abby.
You kind of both love and both hate both of the characters, right? Like you like I feel like you get their perspectives equally, and I feel like that's why the game was so great. Like the game 1, part 1 of the Last of Us was incredible because the debate of just like, did you do the right thing as Joel? Right? Like, should you have killed everybody? Like that's such a huge topic to talk about. And then in this as well, like you've just got these two storylines. So I mean, I don't know, what is it, like Twilight? You got the wolves and the vampires or something.
What are the wolves and the vampires in this, Zach?
Abby and Ellie. What are you talking about?
That is not.
You got the two teams, bro.
I don't feel like that's a good comparison. But,
I mean, I've never watched Twilight. I just know there's like two sides. There's just been like so
probably
much debate about like which side are you on?
How did you avoid watching Twilight? I mean, we grew up in the Twilight era. We were like almost forced, dragged to the movie theaters by girlfriends to go watch Twilight.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw like all the memes all the time from them, but I somehow escaped that tragedy. My aunt watched them, and I even avoided that. I was like, no, I'm good.
Are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
What? Who's the guy that played? Didn't he play like Shark Boy in that Shark Boy and Lava Girl show?
Yeah, he's Team Werewolf. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I think that they're cooler. I mean, like
You're
I
going
put
werewolf?
I mean, I feel like I'd rather be a werewolf than I would be a vampire.
Oh, I'd rather be a vampire than a werewolf, 100%.
I don't know.
All right. Anyways, I can agree with you on the sense that they're both unlikable, and that's why Jesse's death hurts all the more because it's like he's like one of the few likable characters in the show. Like. Joel's likable, Jesse's likable, Tommy is likable. I'd say Dina's likable personally.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah,
she's got a lot of like the characteristics of Ellie that I'm not a big fan of.
No, but she's not an idiot though. That's the thing, is that she's not an idiot.
That's true.
Ellie, whereas she'll be in a parking garage on an escape route, and 6 soldiers will have AK-47s, and she'll say, "I'm gonna fight these guys with a pistol," and that sort of thing just bothers normal thinking people. Get it? We can feel bad, but we got a pregnant lady back at the theater. We got to go and take back home.
Yeah.
Can we prioritize things
Who
here a little bit?
who we
Who
just
you happen
had to
who you
shove
happen
a
to be
arrow
in,
through her
yeah,
leg.
yeah, and who you happen to be in love with. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, good lord.
Well, I mean,
If I
like
gotta explain things to you like a kid, then I'm sorry, Ellie. Then we should have left you here in Seattle.
that's her whole character. She's just extremely childish. Like she's
Yeah.
always been a very self-sabotaging individual. And I feel like there's an element of that from this episode where her conversation with Dina was vulnerable, but it was also kind of self-sabotaging, which I feel like in a way frees her of this burden of having to care about Dina so that she can just go after what she wants, which is Abby. Like that's the kind of way that I felt about that whole sequence with them early on in the episode. I'm just like, you're really not
Je-
like helping yourself here.
Jesse should have gone with that girl from New Mexico. He should have gone. Bought her paintings. He should have left with her. Forgotten the town of Jackson.
Hey,
All of it.
it'd been a happy ending, riding off in the sunset with Jesse and his girlfriend. Stop something like shut the fuck up. Um, riding off into the
No,
sunset.
I'm I wasn't laughing at that.
Yeah,
I
sure.
wasn't. I wasn't. I was imagining how mad I'd be if I'm Jesse and get shot in the face like in 2 seconds because of this stupid child Ellie.
Yeah.
Now my kid is fatherless. I don't care if Ellie says she wants to be a dad. My kid is fatherless. My kid doesn't have his or her actual father. And now he's gonna be raised by this bonehead who makes a mistake in every turn imaginable.
Impulsive individual. Yeah. It sucked.
And then I started thinking of the meme of the people. You ever seen the people who teach self defense? Who like somebody will have a gun to your head and they'll tell you to do like the stupidest thing
Oh,
ever.
all the
Like
time.
it's
I
a
love
fake.
those videos so much.
Or the person who's in their car and they are trying to choke somebody like with a thread or something, and they tell them to lower the seat
Yeah.
to like go backwards. But there's one of them that the person is watching the video, like watching the instructor. He's like, okay, and he gets into the scenario, and the moment he flinches, like he's in heaven,
He's
like
in
immediately,
heaven.
just
Yeah.
like he's immediately in heaven. He's like, damn. I would have been so angry if I was Jesse. And maybe you
Yeah.
don't care in that moment, but I hope the ghost of Jesse haunts her in season 4 whenever she's back. That's what I hope.
That's great. I love that
This whole
picture.
episode is just
Jesse's
this whole
just in
episode has
heaven
just
right
been
now,
rail.
just like, just
Yeah, yeah.
let me back.
This whole episode has just been the Jesse fan club
Yeah. The Ellie hate
and
club,
how
but
much and how the Ellie hate club of how much we hate how she's been in the last 2 episodes. So she's murdered 3 people so far to get to Abby. How many are left?
well, she's murdered. How's she murdered? Has it just been 3 people?
Just 3? Well, I guess 4 if you count the child in that woman's belly.
Yeah. And what was the question?
How many more does she have to slaughter? Like, how many were in that
Oh,
group? Was it like 1 or 2 more? Oh, the most
no.
unlikable guy, the guy who kicked her in the
Yeah.
face. That guy has to get killed still.
Yeah.
Manny, I think is his name.
We got another friend.
Remember, Isaac said we have a bunch of Mannies. By the way, that's my second. That I would say that's another one of my favorite castings is that guy. I found out yesterday. My friend told me that the guy who plays Isaac, and I'm blanking on his name now. Can you look it up?
Yes.
Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright.
That sounds right.
Something Wright.
Yeah, just
Um,
Jeffrey Wright. Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright. He also voiced the actor in the video game. I
Mm-hmm.
completely forgot about that or didn't
Yeah.
know that. So great casting there.
Fair.
Anything we missed, or I kind of know exactly what's gonna happen next season, so I don't want to talk about predictions or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I don't really want to get into
But
predictions. No, I mean, the only other thing I will say, other than the fact that Ellie has been drenched in drowning most of this episode, um, I was disappointed that when she kind of landed on that island, there wasn't like much else there. She just kind of like landed there, almost got strung up, and like 2 seconds later, just like that was it. She was out. So I feel like maybe that was a little bit of a miss, but I don't know. I mean, we know there's another perspective that's going to be told in the next season, so maybe that'll kind of like cover some elements of that island. it just seemed like there should have been something more than just like, oh, I'm sorry, I landed on the wrong place and then just got right back on track to where I wanted to go anyways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that detour. I also agree that it was really random,
Hmm.
and not really needed, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
I
But
could
I'm
I
sure
could have
they had
done
a
with it.
reason for it. I think there was two reasons why they did it. I can't say either of them because both are spoilers. Um, but yeah. By the way, I thought well, we'll talk about this after, but I guess Night of the Seven Kingdoms is not coming out this year.
Really?
Yeah, I'm seeing now it says 2026. Delayed to 2026. Games Radar Plus. It was expected to arrive this year, and they have not confirmed a specific release date. So, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Well,
Six
that's
episodes. They will not be doing that. And House of the Dragon season 3 is also definitely not going to be this year.
wow.
And that one I understand because it feels like every episode is a damn
I mean,
crazy. I
how do
mean,
you?
next year's going to be crazy.
It is gonna be crazy. I kind of want to know how you feel about that. Not necessarily pivoting specifically to like uh
I'm on vacation, Foundation season 3, by the way. So we will have to push that first episode.
you're on vacation in Foundation season 3. Well, we'll figure that
Yeah.
out anyways. But I'm curious, like what you think about having such a massive amount of time between seasons of TV shows, like and not to pivot to Game of Thrones or anything like that, but like we know the timeline for the next season of Last of Us alone is like 2 years out. I personally feel like that's just like for a TV show, I want that to be like an every year thing. I mean, if you got a 6 season show, that's 6 years. You got to invest anyways. If it's every other year that you're releasing, that's like 12 years. That's insane.
I think, and I mean, I'm sure they know with consumer research and stuff like that. I think they are really risking losing the audience on Last of Us if it's a 2 year gap. First and foremost, we're gonna find out real quick if there's enough pool for people to watch Ellie and Abby alone,
Mm,
and no more Pedro Pascal. I am interested to see what that does to the series.
yeah.
I know technically he's been dead, but they've been kind of stringing along that bit for a while now. Um, and I think that I think let's say they don't film until next year, and they let's say release spring of 2027.
Yeah.
I think people will watch it. Of course, we'll probably watch it, of course,
Mm,
but it, you really lose that steam. It does this universe doesn't have the type of steam that like a Game of Thrones did, or like next year. What there's gonna be a lot to compete with next year. It's probably maybe another reason why they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to drop Last of Us next year for that reason. I don't know, but it's hard to compete with Game of Thrones. Uh, there's gonna be two Game of Thrones. I'm assuming series dropping next year. It'll probably
mm.
be Night of the Seven Kingdoms and probably House
House
of
of
the
the
Dragon.
Dragon. Yeah.
Uh, and House of the Dragon's got to be their biggest show right now, if I had to guess. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Next year is also packed, by the way. We got the World Cup, we got GTA 6, we
Finally.
got the Avengers movie, which I think got postponed. It got postponed to December now, so it's going to launch as the same day as Dune 3,
Mm,
which is going to be Dune Messiah. So 2026 is absolutely loaded. Um, Specifically, May and June is loaded. Like next summer is gonna be crazy. But yeah, mark your calendars, folks. Lots of entertainment next year.
I'm doing it. I'm excited. Summer's
Yeah,
quickly becoming my favorite time of the year again, but for
yeah,
shows
same
instead of
here.
not being in school.
I gotta say, same here, but more because of the beach than anything. But nonetheless, I don't know, just like it used to not be that way for me. It used to be like end of the year, fall
Yeah, fall.
into
I
it. But
love
now,
Christmas time. Oh, gotta love it.
I feel like it's kind of been like a May to December renaissance. But anyways, let's do categories or something. Let's wrap this up. It's been a good journey, but it is time to bring it to a close here.
Yes, it is. Let's do favorite line of the episode first. Let's get the hard one out of the way.
Gosh, I don't know about line, but I did like the moment where Isaac's talking to his second in command, Park. I think her name's Park.
Mm,
And he's talking about Abby. And I thought it was a good establishing for how much of a badass commando Abby is.
yeah,
That she is essentially the next in line to take over the entire WLF. So I did enjoy that whole sequence
yeah,
very much.
it was good. I think my favorite line was actually from Jesse to Ellie, where he's just like, I didn't. I didn't vote to go. I
It's your,
voted
li-
no. I love that. I was just like,
I always,
I felt like Jesse did what I want to do half the time, and he just like slapped Ellie across the face with his words. Like I was like, shit, that was great.
yeah, yeah. You know, I always find it hilarious that the lines that you remember are always kind of just like 2 words or 3 words.
Yeah,
They're always like the most like short lines imaginable.
yeah, but I mean, they stick out. Like I don't know,
I'll
I
give
just
like a
gravitate to them.
paragraph. If I do Peaky Blinders, it'll be like when Winston Churchill tells Tommy,
Oh yeah,
first a boat, then a hut, then a house, then a mansion. That's something, isn't it? Yours would be like, damn, or something like that.
oh god, man, Peaky Blinders had some incredible lines.
Oh, we got some Peaky Blinders news. Have we talked about it on the show?
I don't think we have, but
So Peaky Blinders is gonna have
mm,
not just a film, but they're gonna have I think 2 more seasons after the
two
film.
more. I heard one more. I don't know about two
Was it
more.
one more?
Yeah, I heard there was gonna be one more season. So we're gonna have a movie and then another season. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that I already know that there's gonna be a season, and they've already kind of talked about who some of the cast is.
Oh, don't tell me that. I don't know yet on that stuff. Don't tell me
Yeah,
that.
I've seen it and I can't unsee it, and it fucking pisses me off.
It
So
also I also don't like the fact that oh my bad. No, I actually don't care. But I wish they were just doing 2 straight seasons and not a movie at all, personally. But
I don't know. Part of me is very curious to see how this could feel as a movie. Cause I mean
I hope
I
it doesn't feel
love
like what the BBC usually does. Like Luther made a movie and then Downton Abbey made a movie.
I never got
I
into
hope it
Downton
feels like
Abbey.
an actual like bigger scale production.
Same. And I would assume so. I mean, if you got Killian Murphy in a movie after Oppenheimer, dude, I mean it's got to be good. I would sure
We
hope.
Yeah, we also got the full reveal of the full Harry Potter cast. They're like the main players in the cast.
Yeah.
Although I don't think I've seen Draco yet. Who's playing Draco?
I don't think I've seen Draco yet. I've just seen the big three. While you're maybe doing some digging in the background, favorite scene of the episode.
Of episode 6 was the museum, and episode 7 was I don't even know episode 7 to be honest.
Yeah, it was. There wasn't a lot of episode 7 that was just like, wow, it was such a great scene. Um, I mean, I completely agree with you on episode 6 though. Like, the museum was phenomenal. I really enjoyed that.
I wonder what else young Mazzino has coming out after Last of Us. Let's see if he's been cast in anything.
Beef was a one-off, right?
Beef, he played Paul Cho, and I'm kind of shocked that he has this kind of range based on the role he had on Beef, but
Interesting.
nothing else planned for the rest of the upcoming. Skateboard. What the hell, skateboard? Oh, it's a short film. Interesting. He's a lead in that. I would watch that. Where can I watch this? It's not out yet.
If I had to pick a scene from season 7, oh, sorry, episode 7,
Go for it.
it would probably be, and I'm reaching here. I mean, the conversation between Ellie and Jesse, I have it up on screen. It's like, what is that? 30 minutes in, or 25 minutes in.
Oh, in the chair. I thought that was a good scene too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good scene. It was the only thing that didn't make me extremely annoyed in this episode, or feel like it was just like, I don't know, like a shortcut to like where we needed to end this episode.
Yeah.
But I will say my
Okay.
favorite character was Jesse.
Yeah, same here. I think he might be the unanimous favorite of anybody who watched this episode.
Yeah.
This was the Jesse episode for sure.
It's also hard to not give it to him after the way he goes down.
Yeah. And then the gunshot, which we will not say what happens with that gunshot.
Yeah.
But
I, f- I, hmm, I'm not a big fan of the whole like gunshot cut to black things.
that's exactly how it is in the
I
game.
know, I'm just not a fan. I didn't like it then either.
I didn't like it in the game either. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for. But nonetheless, that about does it for our Last of Us coverage. Zach, any closing words or thoughts you'd like to give here?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any awesome TV shows out there on the horizon that you're excited for, drop it in the comments and let us know. I'm curious to see what you've got on your lists coming up and what might overlap with ours. But beyond that, and before I lose the rest of my voice, thank you for sticking around and listening to the last episode of The Last of Us Season 2. You can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify primarily, or you can visit us on YouTube or our website at soapbox.house. You find links to the show on all of the different platforms.
Perfect. Before we leave, let me just finish out. There is no news on the Draco Malfoy casting.
Mm.
I have seen everyone else though. I'm kind of happy with everybody else at this point. And then, yeah, we'll talk about some other things on the next episode of Story Archives about what we're doing, what we're watching, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Until then, peace.
Peace.